How's it going, everyone? Jay Falconio with REMCO Real Talk. Today's episode, we have Mitch Blaak, the owner of Black Out Training. In this episode, we're going to talk about how Mitch not only builds bodies, but also builds his business. A business that was incepted pre-COVID, that launched into a 10-person operation that is now focusing on corporate wellness and corporate fitness. Thanks again for joining us. Let's get started. And we are here at REMCO Real Talk. Jay Falconio and a good friend, a very close friend of mine, Mitch Blaak from Black Out Training. Fellow podcast host himself is in the building. Mitch, welcome.
Happy to be here, man. Thanks for having me on.
Dude, my pleasure. I'm so happy. I feel like we're just going to continue to just chat like we just were chatting as soon as you walked in, and this is going to be just me and my buddy having a conversation today. So
it's perfect, man.
To start, just because, we're in Sweet Recording Studio, there's a lot that Joe and Rich do to kind of set this up for success. Tell us a little bit about your podcast experience. Tell us a little about your podcast in general, what goes on, and what's that like?
Yeah, so I was telling the guys a little bit before we went on the air here. So I'm a personal trainer. I own a personal training company, and I had started actually getting the podcast equipment together to do something with my wife because we have a little side hustle together. And she, at different points in time, I'm all in. I'm investing in this project, and she's like a little overwhelmed with work. So then, and then I'm like, okay, I'll just wait until she's ready. So then she's all gung ho. So we're just a little back and forth. It's a slow climb. And in the meantime, I was like, hey, I have all this podcast equipment that I spent money on. Why not get something together? So I started kind of racking my brain, doing a little research, and I think as starting a podcast, it's actually kind of an untapped market as far as marketing goes, compared to like social media, TikTok platforms and stuff like that. But I think you want to be really niche with your topic. So you could just do fitness in general, but I wanted to target first-time exercisers and people who don't have any experience in the gym. I might be like kind of scared of that gym culture. And so I came up with The Fence, which is a podcast by personal trainers for first-time exercisers and people that want to get started with strength training. And my spiel is we want to help you get off the fence and into the body you deserve. And so we talk about the fundamentals of stuff. We break it down, try to keep it real simple and understandable, and just provide, templates and sort of like what you should be focusing your time on, nutritional side of things, supplements. We have had a couple physical therapists, other personal trainers, and gym owners on the podcast as well. And we're trying to get more and more on, we usually do like me and my co-host Gar will do an episode just us, and then every other week we try to have a guest on.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's fun. And then you have people with different personalities, people with different skill sets that you might not be able to speak on something.
Right.
And so we're able to provide more value to our listeners.
Fantastic.
However many.
I love the name, On the Fence.
Yeah, it's
cool. And it really encompasses to the feeling of what somebody is like when they want to get into fitness. Like they're all like, what is somebody going to think about me? And we all know January that we'll use the New Year's resolutions. Everyone goes and everyone's a little nervous about doing it, and then no one really stays consistent because of that peer pressure, right? So good for you for like also taking the time to work on them as a person, make them more comfortable with the process of getting into the body that they want.
There's a high barrier to entry, and so that's kind of, and then as I've had more experience, I think we're on episode coming up on 19.
Nice.
How many of you guys done?
This is early on, so you're one of our first 5.
Which is exciting, man. That's super cool.
You're number
cool.
4.
And you're going to learn so much as you go.
I know. Yeah,
just
I'm
like
loving it.
Everything about it, and you're going to perfect and hone in and like, work on your intro and make sure you'll just add things to it. It's been a fun process. It's been a tedious process.
Sure.
Do they handle editing and stuff for you?
They do. Sweet Recording does it all, man.
Dude,
they do the editing. It's a one-stop shop. I mean, someone like myself who just comes here and just, I want a podcast and I have no idea how to do it, and they do a good job with it.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and that's crucial, I think, because I tried, like I said, to figure it out on my own for like 6 months to a year. Yeah. And it was just a nightmare, dude, just trying to figure everything out, especially the technical equipment side. That was the tough part for me.
Sure. Now, do you, transitioning into the business that you own, just the ability to want to start a podcast, how much, that process of tedious, hard work, I never did something like this, but I want to do it. How does that transition into the person that you are and the person that wanted to start Black Out Training?
Yeah, that's a good question. I like that.
Yeah.
You got to be hungry. You got to really want to make something work. And a client of mine, he's an older guy, and he's a business owner, and he's one of the first people I pitched my original business idea to. And he essentially helped me come to terms with the belief that if you knock on every door, you turn over every rock, you just keep throwing shit at the wall until some of it sticks, then you can't fail. As long as you believe in the idea, you're passionate about it, and you don't give up.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen you outside of business, outside of, relationship. I mean, you really are you put your heart into absolutely everything. Our friendship, you and your wife, shout out to Gar as well, your podcast fella who you guys put great content out.
You got to have him on here.
I would love to. Yeah. But everybody that is kind of like within your orbit, you give them a lot of love, and you put your heart and energy into it to the max. So I appreciate
That's kind of you, man. I try not to overextend myself either.
Yeah.
I keep my circle small. So like, I just, I don't have all the energy in the world to give, right? And I got to make sure I try to spread it out evenly. So if you're in my circle, you're going to stay in my circle, and I want to try to nurture, just like a relationship with like a girlfriend or a wife. You want to try to nurture that relationship,
sure,
rather than just, call it quits.
Sure. So Blackout Training, when COVID hit, right? This is kind of like how I was like, when we were really getting to know each other, I was like, this guy is right on it. Like, so smart. Gyms are closed. This guy is training people at his house. Now, I don't really know the inception of the business. How many years was it before COVID? How did COVID kind of shape your business? Because in my opinion, you were like the best idea at that time.
Yeah. So it's pre-COVID idea, and I had it while I was a trainer at the NAC.
Got it. Okay.
And because I was just around, in that area, people, it's affluent area, very nice area, and expensive area to live in. And people have, put a different price tag on their health. And I hadn't really seen that before, where people are paying hundreds of dollars a session, for personal training. And so I thought to myself, wow, like what, I was in this mindset of trying to think of, I realized that everything's already been done before. So how can I do it better?
Yeah, sure.
Right. So I was trying to take something that's already being done and just kind of come up with a new twist. And the more I thought about it, I was like, mobile personal training. I feel like people would pay for that, because what's more precious than your time?
Yeah.
So if I can put a couple minutes of that back in your day, 15, 30, an hour, along with providing that extreme level of accountability and convenience, I feel like that's something people would pay for. So, and I kicked the idea around between some of my clients and my friends. And then COVID came to town and shut everything down.
Dude,
and I was just kind of like,
right there, man.
I was like, what am I going to, like, it's either now or never. And if I don't do it now, I'll regret it the rest of my life. And so I just kind of went balls to the wall, man. I had the vision. I had already kind of had the template. And so then it was just a matter of like making it all come together as fast as I could to get it off the ground. So then we launched, I think, in maybe like June of 2020.
Okay. So COVID kind of was like that catalyst, being like, that was like maybe that sign, like, now or never, here's the time, and you just blew up. And I remember how many people were mentioning your brand when March, everything shut down, March, April, May, June, like you really took off in that summer. Yeah,
people always ask, COVID must have affected you so much. And I was like, yeah, I rode that wave up.
I built my business. Yeah. But you were ahead of the curve. Your thought process of starting this business was pre-COVID. You launched it a couple months right after COVID was in full swing. And I think that, right time, right place, and the right intentions, and also your drive is what made it happen. I mean, now I look at the brand, you're hiring trainers, you got, a whole team behind you. I mean, you kicked my ass at Tyler State Park and a few of my other clients. That was really fun. And you come up with these exercises. You come up with some of these exercises on your own. There was one exercise in particular. I mean, I was hating you for it, but I wonder how you come up with these. But that one exercise, you put your own personality on your fitness routines. So I like that.
Yeah. You got to keep it fun while also following, the fundamentals and what works scientifically, and then throwing those extra little tidbits just to surprise people or make them hate you a little bit.
It was cool. It was a good time. So we'll transition a little bit into something a little different. What do you do to stay accountable with yourself? Because your business is so you're providing accountability to the people that you train and your clients. You're the accountability for them. How do you, as a leader, stay accountable?
There's like two. I'm going to mention two things. One, knowing that people are counting on me.
Yeah.
people that are working with me for me, they're counting on me to fill their books and make them money. And so I gotta keep hustling, even on the bad days, to try to market, to try to, reply quicker, which I'm working on getting better at. I'm not always the best texter. There's always a long list. And number two is just who I surround myself with. Gar, Jake.
Yeah.
Not that Jake is the biggest fitness guy, but he's a good business and mindset guy. Like he's a freaking animal. And a couple other guys, Brenner, Crone, shout out to Brenner, and Ryan Fien.
Yeah, sure.
We're all they're all gym owners and personal trainers, and I've had them on as guests on the show.
Yep.
And so I've actually really became friends with them. And so we're doing right now this 2-month fat loss competition, just to kind of challenge and motivate each other. And you know what, man, I actually gained like 4 pounds over the first month.
Okay.
But it was like all muscle.
Sure.
And long term, that is still a good strategy. But now, it's getting me to do sprints. It's getting me to watch my calories. I've been eating much cleaner.
Wow.
And so, surrounding myself with people who are like-minded and want to be the best version of themselves, as well as see you succeed. You know what I mean?
But you're also surrounding yourself with people that do it at a high level, right? Let's give yourself credit where credit's due. I mean, I remember like the Apple Watch, right? Use it as an example. I know, I share my Apple Watch activity with certain people just because like it keeps me accountable. I also started to notice that some people I was sharing the Apple Watch with, they have higher goals, right? So their exercise goal is not 60 minutes, it's 90 minutes, more steps, more calories. Right. Yeah, exactly. So I found myself like trying to compete, because the Apple Watch can compete with people who have, an energy goal of like 1,800 when mine's 1,500 or 1,200 or whatever. So I think always trying to challenge yourself. But these gym owners, the individuals you're mentioning that you surround yourself with, they're doing it at a very high level.
They're doing it at high levels, and anybody, especially entrepreneurs.
Sure, yeah, this can be translated into anything.
Well, you're sometimes burning the candle at both ends, and so for a lot of people, the first thing to suffer is usually your fitness.
Yeah,
and that's gym owners and personal trainers aren't immune to that either. And so we all go through highs and lows, but I think just having that circle of people is crucial for anybody.
Okay. In terms of your team, the ever-growing team, I mean, is there any position that you feel like would be a next level game changer for you and your company? Like I always like kind of try to keep an open mind with like recruiting and hiring and like, what am I missing from the agency to take the agency to the next level? Is there something at your business that you feel like you're looking for?
So I'm not actively looking for what I'm about to mention per se, but I know that in the next year, I think that it's a step I'm going to take. And it's a step my wife took, I think it's been about 6 months plus, and she just took it again just this past week. She hired her first full-time employee.
Okay.
As opposed to contractors who are just, doing the teaching and education. Now she has somebody who's her right-hand woman. Like she helps her manage her schedule. She is taking on big things like client onboarding and managing all of her other team members.
Wow.
She's taking on things that like fall through the cracks, like marketing on all the Facebook groups and all these little pieces of the puzzle that, as a business owner, you're trying to juggle with actually working with in-person clients.
Sure.
And all, your full-time schedule. So, and then she just hired another full-time position who she's starting to onboard right now. And so I think that would be a game changer. Somebody who not only can work, with clients as a personal trainer, but also handle, I can delegate tasks and assign things that are, soaking up my time so I can focus on the big picture.
I like that.
Yeah.
Because as a CEO, as an owner of the company, that level of creativity only really breeds itself when you can breathe and like be creative. You operate in that stress coma. I mentioned that in a few other episodes. You can't think about what's next for Blackout Training when you're in the weeds doing the day-to-day.
Right.
But when you're free and have some time to reflect, you're going to be able to come up with the next move.
100% correct.
So I think that's awesome. So I want one too. Let me know where you find one. But there's a big level, right? Like you can the ability to find somebody, let's call it a personal assistant, if you will, or somebody that will do, a lot of the day-to-day stuff to keep you moving and thinking more creatively. There's a real big level of trust, no matter if that person's qualified or not qualified. In your head, you're like, I'm Mitch Blaak. I'm the owner of this company. I'm the only one to do this. And it's like that delegation and trust is easier said than done.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
That was the hardest part of running a business when I started to hire.
Sure.
I kind of bungled my first person or two that I brought on because I didn't have a system. I didn't know what I should be investing in them. And so, I've learned that I need to be really truly investing in my people. spending money on them or towards them, playing to their strengths. Even if I'm not necessarily seeing an ROI from that,
Sure.
you need to invest and make sure that they know that they're cared for and that they are a priority. And then I think then morale's higher, and then they believe in your
100%.
project, your business or your mission.
Similar to fitness, and I guess caveat, the similarities between insurance and fitness, there's credentials, right? Like the insurance agents can get what's called a CISR, they can get a CPCU, which brings them up to the next caliber and allows them to generally earn more money or just do more. So I remember you mentioned that the way that you're investing in some of these trainers and employees of yours is you're investing in their credentialing as well, right?
Yes.
So,
yeah. One in particular, Lance.
Yeah.
We kind of set some goals, and once he was able to accomplish those goals, I bought for him a bodybuilding certification, which he just completed a little ways back, actually.
It's awesome.
And so, and that's where his heart is, and he's actually competing for his first show right now.
Congrats.
The kid's looking pretty jacked.
Congrats,
Good
Lance.
job, Lance.
Yeah. Good job. And for you, as doing that, believing in that employee and putting that time and energy in them, that's awesome. So when's his competition is coming up?
I'm not entirely sure. I'm thinking fall.
Okay, cool.
I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah.
I gotta ask.
I know you're marketing, so I make this joke all the time. It's like every time you market something, it's like it's so good because it's like your industry is so prone to be good on social, and I like go on there and I'm trying to make insurance fun and sexy, and nobody gives a crap.
Jim Hill used to struggle with that a lot.
Yeah,
too.
no, shout out to Jim.
Get creative though,
Jim and I are still. So Jim Hill's an agent. He moved out to Erie. We are still very close.
I miss him.
And me too. He's such a funny guy. But
Such an idiot.
that's a good. He's just such a funny guy, man. He's a great insurance agent, and now he's in public adjusting. But we pass business regularly. But me and him have had that conversation. How do we make insurance fun? And but this is a piece to that, right?
Right.
Like this is trying to be creative, trying to represent the brand. To your point, when every time you post something, like your content's gotten so much better. It's really gotten good.
Well, let me give a shout out to. So I'm actually paying. So as far as the employee thing, I'm not putting anything out there, but a lot of Jenna, Michaela's right-hand lady, came from within the company. So she already knew this. She'd already been working for her. She's seen her work ethic. She'd seen her attitude. So she was ambitious, excited to learn, eager. And so I'm paying Lance right now to manage my social media content.
Okay.
And so we basically came up with a schedule together. I have him go out almost once a month to meet up with each of our trainers.
Like that.
And we have a template to follow. So he'll get a call to action, a value, multiple different videos, as well as testimonials. We collected all of our client testimonials. And not that I'm focusing all of my social media content, time, and energy on the podcast. So, I'm chopping up an hour-long episode. I'm uploading it to the AI to chop it into small short-form videos. I'm uploading it and writing the captions.
As we speak right now, Sweet Recording's like, we could do all that.
Yeah, I know, yeah. Well, I'm going to get their card and I'll see what they're charging.
But no, to your point, but Mitch,
so Lance is crushing it, though.
You've already started the delegation process then. We were talking about, who's your next piece. Like, it kind of already seems like you've already trying to make that transition. Lance seems to be that person where you're not delegating certain things. And from the I guess the viewer's point of view, from my point of view, I'm like coming to you. I'm like, Mitch, your content got so much better. So it's like, how's that feel? That's got to feel good.
And it's only been, a month plus, and we've gotten minimum of 2 leads from it.
Yeah.
So, the money that I'm spending towards him every 2 weeks.
I love it. I love to hear that.
The ROI is there.
That's where the goosebumps come in. I was like that's where like when you delegate, you trust, and then you have somebody who's watching it being like, your content got better. It's like, it worked. Congrats on 50 Google reviews. Yes. Trust is hard to extend.
I got to do another campaign soon.
Yes, and I wanted to just mention that because to any business owner who's listening,
you got a lot on there. I know you inspired me actually for that.
166
on that talk 166. On the way to the mountain.
Yeah, so I'll tell you, man. Yeah, so some of the best ideas come out when we're down there hanging out outside of work. But
Outlaw Cowboys, baby.
Yes, that's right. Shout out to Jake. So Jake, if you're listening, you will be listening because I'm going to send it to. Yeah, I want to have him. So Jake's a good friend of ours. He owns 2 Airbnb properties. He is a very, very skilled barber who's started his practice, I believe, in 2000, don't quote me on this, 2011, 2012 maybe?
Okay, I'm not sure.
He had his shop, yeah. So he's...
Oh, so he didn't start barbering then, but that's when he started his own deal.
Yeah,
okay.
He had his shop. I mean,
he was longer than that.
Oh, well, his shop in Bristol opened up in around that 2011, 2012. Okay. But he was at Don's. He cut me when I was in 6th grade.
He was cutting you all the way back then. Yeah, so you're like an OG client.
Yeah. So, but this is a good point. So we stay connected with our friends. We stay connected with our brand. The marketing that we were talking about was that Google reviews, and I really encourage any business owner who's listening, to really invest in maybe some QR codes or some NEC codes or something like that, where you can easily get them to visit your Google business page, provide you with that feedback, because it works. And yeah, congrats on 50. That was
Thanks,
good.
man.
Yeah.
It's a big, yeah.
You're going to get to 100 sooner than later. I already know.
I'm going to set a goal. I was thinking about this the other day. I want to get another 25, and I want to try to crank it out in a month.
You will. You will.
I was paying my trainers like $100 for every 3 that they could get from their clients.
There you go.
So you got to motivate me a little bit, and the ROI will come back. And then I was reaching out to all past clients, current clients, and you got to be shameless with your self-promotion, I say.
Why not?
Because people forget. How do you think I won Bucks County's Best 2 years in a row, my first 2 years in business? Because I was annoying. I was hitting people up on Snapchat. I was hitting people up on Instagram, Facebook, texting everybody.
I'm going to do it, bitch.
And then they don't remember, and then you just got to remember to text them back. And it's, you know how much of a pain it is. Like, you get
but no one's going to remember.
People.
No one's really going to, when they see that recognition, no one's going to remember you being that person to remind people to give reviews. They're just going to see Best of Bucks, or they're going to see 55-star Google reviews, and they're going to be like,
it's not a bad thing to be annoying. I say annoying, but it's not annoying because, I appreciate when it's persistent. I appreciate if someone asks me to go vote for them for Inked Mag, or go vote for them for Bucks County's Best. And I forget because I didn't make the time, I'm doing something. And then they text me to remind me. I'm grateful. I'm like, oh, thank you.
Yeah, 100%. And I've been trying to get more intentional too with I'm a believer in karma. So it's like when someone actually asks me to do a survey, like even if it has nothing to do with anything, and they're like, I take my car in for an oil change, and they're like, can you give a survey? I'm like, yeah, I will. Because I know that and
you know how much that means, how much that matters. Yeah, that happened. I had a really good experience at a Staples. Just some girl behind the counter, and she, I don't even remember because I had to get stuff printed, and she was like helpful with, organizing it and helping me cut it and stuff like that, and just went above and beyond. Yeah. And then even helped me. I had like 5 different accounts with 5 different emails. She helped me condense them and everything, and she was just so incredible that I actually called the corporate number and waited on hold just to be like, hey, promote this girl. She's incredible. You know what I mean?
Now she's the regional.
I hope so.
She's the regional. She's the regional vice president of the PA.
She owns a branch, a location. I hope so.
That's cool, man. That's the pay it forward mentality. It really is. It's just no matter what part of life, if you're intentional and you're kind and you pay it forward, I think it does come back to get you in the positive.
100%.
So we went over the marketing. Marketing mostly is on social media, which it's been taken to a next level. If there's something that you wanted to bring up on the podcast, just generally about your brand, something for the listeners to keep a heads up on, or just some piece of advice that you can give anybody who wants to get into fitness.
Well, hey, anybody that's out there that may be on the fence, check out the podcast. It's called The Fence. Mm-hmm. The socials are all weird. I think it's the Fence_podcast on Instagram and TikTok, maybe. We put the full episodes on YouTube. And again, we motivate, inspire, and educate first-time exercisers or anybody that's on that fence. So check that out. There's a lot of value to be shared, and we're fun to listen to.
Yeah.
It's a good group of people we have on there. All of our guests are top-notch. And as far as the business, man, Blackout Training, Black_out_training on Instagram. You can check out the website, www.blackouttraining.com. I'm working right now. It's kind of slow moving, but I'm going to get it out there. I'm launching kind of a corporate boot camp thing.
Ooh.
So like we tried to do with you guys.
Right. That took on a whole nother life.
All the
REMCO people are scared. They don't want to work out with Mitch.
And that's all right. But I just want to start, approaching all kinds of small businesses, big corporate businesses, and trying to present what value we can provide as opposed to, paying for your employees to have a gym membership. Have us come out once a month or more frequently, ideally, and work out with your people. And we provide an extreme amount of value. They're so much more likely to actually work out. And it's also a big team building thing. So you can get a little camaraderie, sweat with that woman that's on the other side of the office that you never get to talk to. You know what I mean? And form connections.
A few things come to mind on that, and I'm glad you brought that up. In terms of my previous kind of career and industry, dietetics, you would actually be able to go to a company and provide dietetic education, or you'd be able to maybe cook for them, and they would be able to use their health insurance to subsidize that.
You were able to.
You were able to get money. No, they're doing it now.
Okay.
But I know that it's an avenue for an ability to get paid by health insurance. So there's something there for you because everything you mentioned, building camaraderie, breaking people out of the office, building connections, getting their physical fitness in. some companies, they'll do like that 10,000 step challenge during lunch, walk around the office a bunch of times. But I believe that you have a thing there where you could also start, getting compensated from the health insurance carriers because they see that as a benefit.
Correct.
Yeah.
Well, I think under 20% of corporate gym memberships provided by a company are ever even utilized.
Well, that's a good point. Yeah.
And I also know a statistic because, as I said, I'm compiling kind of like a Rolodex.
Yeah.
And companies save like $2.70 for every dollar they spend on a corporate wellness program.
Yes.
It also it decreases costs on tardiness, calling out sick, things like that. Yeah. They save tons of money by having something in place, but for it, the gym membership isn't the best option because nobody's taking advantage of it. So to truly get those returns, we can help you do that with that high level of accountability and convenience.
I love that. I think that's going to be a really good addition to your brand. Also providing, I guess a larger reach too, because think about corporate, like, you can like REMCO 15 people, but if you get like a 50-person company, 100-person company, I mean, that's pretty cool, man. So I encourage that. And, those types of things, those next level pieces of thinking, again, like I do believe that you're really able to tap into them when you have a good team around you, which you do, you've delegated properly, and you can kind of take things to the next step.
Yeah. If you're always busting your butt, man, sometimes you need to schedule time to do nothing. Yeah. And what the best ideas hit me is when I'm doing nothing, when I'm up at the mountains.
Yeah. And a good fisherman here. I caught 4 when we were up there last time.
I caught 2.
Yeah, we caught 4 as total.
Other guys caught 2. Right. Yeah. Jay's a good hype man.
Hype man. The fish hype man and the cook. What are some other things outside of the fitness and your relationship with your wife and your friends and your family and being productive? You do nothing. So like, what are some of those things that kind of bring you back to square one?
Well, so recently I took maybe like a 2-week hiatus where, I'm always trying to, in between, say I have a 2-hour break, I'm going to head home, I'm going to have lunch, and then I'm going to try to like crank out, communications, texts, emails, social media posts. And then when I get home, I try to, eke out every last bit of energy that I have until, it's time to eat dinner and go to bed. But I took like this 2+ week hiatus where I wasn't clear on where to invest that energy. And so, you could work for 5 years and be the busiest man in the world, but not have really moved it another step closer to your goal.
Right.
So I always have to recheck in with myself and make sure that I'm investing that energy and time in the right direction. So I had that little hiatus where instead of like trying to squeeze stuff in every chance I got, I just kind of like, took care of the things that needed to get done that week, but then just kind of like made more time for my mental health.
Sure,
and
100%.
Got out and played some disc golf, tried to fish a little bit, did nothing, sat outside, just try to get like back in touch. And then I was able to gain clarity, and now I'm back at it gung ho.
Yeah, because otherwise you get that hamster on a wheel mentality.
Yeah.
You're just going. I like that. You can be the busiest guy in the world, but you're not really getting anything done efficiently.
Worthwhile,
Yeah. Disc golf, that's something I've already picked my...
You're a real golfer.
I am not a real golfer.
No?
I just try.
People always ask me, you any good? I'm like, well, I've been doing it for 2 years. I don't know.
No, I mean... I could say. I mean, it's just for me. The point I was trying to get across is like I already picked my one expensive hobby. I can't. You got fishing and all that stuff. Hunting. Yeah, you're a hunter. Yeah, congrats. You killed your first.
Got my first deer with the crossbow.
We're not going to talk about how that happened.
Yeah, well, we got it and it was good eating, man.
That's very cool.
Thank you for your donation, your sacrifice.
Yeah, sure. But yeah, so I try to bring out, some of those things that you like to do outside of work. And you're definitely probably one of the most versatile and accomplished hobbyists.
I just like everything. I have a little ADHD too.
Yeah.
And I always, I'll pick something up, I'll go gung-ho with it, and then maybe I'll pick up something else. And I don't think that's a bad thing
it's not,
because I always come back to it. Now I have a whole bunch of different things that I can really just rotate.
Dude, at the age of like, mid-30s, going to 40s, if you have multiple things that you're good at, it makes you so relatable to so many different people. Like, think about like, if you're a golfer, you can talk golf with anybody. If you're a disc golfer, you talk, but you can talk hunting, you can talk fishing, you can talk disc golf, you can talk fitness. It is, you can literally work your way into any conversation in the room.
Awesome. And except for sports. I only play those. I don't watch them. That's my biggest downfall.
Do you want me to be completely honest with you?
What?
I love sports, but I also understand why people like you, Jake, there's a few others out there who don't watch it because in theory, it has no impact on your life.
Unless I'm betting on it.
Some people, or unless you're betting on it, but unless, like, whoever won the World Series, they're going to win the World Series, but it's not going to impact you, you know, personally.
Right.
Like, it's not. So I understand why some of the most successful, and most of the successful people, they're like, I don't watch it. Because it's just like it is. And they don't watch the news. They just do their thing, and they stay on their path. Because whether the Giants win the Super Bowl or the Packers win the Super Bowl, you're still going to be Mitch doing his thing.
Right.
But it's entertainment. So, but I hear
news either, you know.
Yeah.
Except for I do stay up since COVID, you know, the state of the world and everything. I've obviously stayed up to date on all that stuff. But
right.
Yeah, I just, you know, and same thing with popular culture, music, stuff like that. It's hard for me to keep up with that stuff, to care about reality TV and celebrities' lives.
It takes time, man.
It takes time. You got to stay focused.
It takes time. But you can navigate conversations with your interests, and you have more than enough to navigate conversations. Break the ice.
Well,
you know,
just the other day, Saturday, we went to a 40th birthday party. My good friend Brian.
Okay.
And I knew a couple people there, but for the most part, nobody. And I think after you mentioned it just now, you know, I had a conversation with a guy about fishing, and we made friends. And then it was actually a cool business connection because he owns property local that I could use for the trailers and boot camps. Oh, yeah. And so we exchanged information. I talked to this cop about freaking keto and diet and like different level of intensities of running. And I talked to different people about so many different. I went into like great depths from my bartending experience. We were talking about with this one guy, you know, IPAs and
forgot about
what kind of beers we like. Yeah.
So sports is the other thing. Like that's a very general. It's probably a more general interest that a lot of people have, but you have so many unique interests where you can navigate, break ice, and talk, and then eventually talk business.
No, man, that's a super valuable thing to have. I never really even appreciated that.
So don't worry about
sports.
That's awesome. Yeah. Don't worry about sports. Keep doing your thing.
My best friends are all into sports, and I tried doing a fantasy league
but
one
it's
year.
It's a general interest.
I go to the draft with them. But that's for the beer and the hanging out for the pound around. But
it's cool. It's cool. I appreciate you also just bringing that up and also being vulnerable about it, because some people try to act like they know sports, and then it's like, but it's a general interest.
And all guys think other guys do. So like, I'll be like next to some random guy in line. Like, you know, there'll be a magazine about the Phillies game. He'll be like, oh yeah, what about it? And I'm like,
Jake does it really good. Just to bring him up once more, he's just like, when we start talking about sports, he's just like, I don't watch sports.
I have to do the same thing.
And like, he just admits it, and then it's just like, oh, okay. Then you know what happens? The three other people change the subject to something else.
Right. Yeah, it's beautiful. Thanks for having me on, man. I'm excited to see what you do with this. This is a really creative way. I wish, you know, Jim was still in town. You guys could like do this as co-hosts or something. I think you guys would be like a really cool combo. You know what I mean? And and it's such a creative way to try to make not only insurance interesting. I wonder how we could kind of like make it a little more, maybe like an interesting insurance fact of the day.
So in general, the one piece that I really didn't probably bring up directly during this is they're generally all either clients of REMCO, referral partners, which I consider you one of those. And we've had the opportunity of looking at your insurance, and we work with Jim on it. So basically Jim and I kind of oversee that. So the goal is that anybody on this show is either a client, referral partner, or somebody that we network or co-market.
It's a way to highlight people. You're providing value. You're staying
to our client base,
in front of people's minds.
That's exactly right. So,
and it's great, like cross marketing.
Correct. So I encourage any, of the REMCO clients who haven't already. I mean, we have like 35 people who we do their insurance who want to be on this, and I'm so blessed on that.
That's awesome.
So like, I wanted to make sure I got you on early, and I wanted to try to get some more people. So the goal for this podcast is to get the REMCO clients to tell their story and provide them with the asset to market in the future.
That's cool, man. It's fun.
So
I like it.
All right, I think we are wrapped up here. I don't really know how to end this other than we had a great time.
You'll come up with a spiel.
Yeah. Well, this is Jay Falconio with REMCO Real Talk, and we are here at Sweet Recording Studio. If you are a REMCO client and you are interested in being on REMCO Real Talk, please check the link tree in the Instagram and our Facebook bio for the request form submission. And I think that'll be it. So, Mitch, thank you so much for being on here.
Pleasure, brother.
There we go. The shake without trying to hit the mic. And thanks again, guys. We'll see you on the next episode.